few months ago, the bookshelf in our apartment collapsed. The reason why wouldn't make a very good mystery novel. My roommate Finn decided to double up the books on each shelf because one layer was not enough space for all the books, and because what even is weight limit? After all, books are just like highly processed bricks of wood wrapped in leather. Anyways, it looked like this for a week. As we were building the new shelf and scattering through this like mountain of books, Finn was like, maybe we should get 2 shelves. And I responded, maybe we should have less books. I know, I love books, it's a sad thing to say, but no one is tripping over the couch in this apartment to read the 1975 copy of Encounter with an Angry God by Carabeth Lard. Yes, if I focused and if I was diligent and read every single day, I could crank through maybe 25 of these books in a year. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna read Alfred Hitchcock's Get Me to the Wake on Time. Look at that. That's a cover. Look at that cover. What is he? Is that a hippo? I mentioned my Kindle and the weightless piles of digital books I can read without it being a paperweight. And I just get the physical copies of the special books that I really want to read and want to keep with me. Will, my other roommate, I have 3, he was in the room with us, not helping, but he offered his counter argument, which was, yeah, but you don't own it, dude. Is that important to me? I mean, who cares if we own less things, right? Isn't that a good thing? All these things, we don't need to own media, right? Right? Isn't it just a little bit weird that your name on social media is right next to a number that says how popular you are? Isn't that just a little bit suspicious? Isn't that a little bit dystopian? We're owning less media that's yours to keep forever until the pages wear out or the DVD scratches or it literally breaks down into atoms. We're owning less of the media that you keep for the sake of convenience. This isn't a new idea. It's being widely observed in the age of streaming and digitalization and everything. Movies, TV, music. Our reliance on digital media could displace the benefits of owning all this physical stuff that we used to have. When I go back to my parents, I see the physical media that I had in my childhood, like VHS tapes and GameCube games, Game Boy games. These are all games that were made only 3 decades ago or even 2 decades ago. It's actually a huge problem right now. A lot of games made in the early 2000s are just getting lost to time because there's no copies of it getting made anymore and they're not really available on any platform. Most games now are just a digital receipt from companies like Steam or PlayStation. Some are even approaching a streaming model like Xbox Game Pass. Software is hardly bought anymore, but it's subscribed to. You know what's my favorite thing in the whole wide world? Signing into things every single day. I love accounts and passwords and emails and 2-step verifications where they send a code to your phone. I love that Call of Duty needs a phone number. I love that you can't really buy software anymore. You just kind of prove that you still own it and that you're still paying for it. And they don't even really make a good software. They just keep adding new stuff to prove to you that you need to keep spending money on it. I love that Apple tries very hard to get you to subscribe to storing your own files and that it's really hard to offload them to a computer. I love that. It's my favorite thing. Sorry, this is just a little inside joke. And I don't even want to get into the dystopia of Spotify, Why bother having a wonderful, beautiful collection of CDs and vinyls and things and support the artist and all that when you can have all of the music ever made in the entire universe at the tap of a button? These are pretty cool, actually. I have stacks and stacks and stacks of indie music from school. You would submit a CD on the student radio and all that. And now it's all digitized. So my freshman year, they had crates and crates and crates and crates of CDs, free. They were getting rid of them. And there were so many of them, so I didn't have time to listen to all of it. So I mainly went by the album artwork, which is crazy to think about now. I forgot about this stuff. This is the floor of nuance. Ideas have gravity. We are attracted to them, and bigger, stronger ideas draw us in more. And without a floor, we fall until we get to the molten core and we get crushed into a limited viewpoint that doesn't take in all of the factors. But with a floor, with a solid foundation, we can feel the gravity of an idea while also accepting that it's not the entire picture. So we are going to add some antithesis to our thesis. So counter argument 1. I'm not saying keeping stuff for the sake of keeping things, because keeping too many things without any thought can lead to hoarding and can lead to all this other stuff. There's an argument to be made to not be focused on material possessions. We're all gonna die someday, so like owning all this stuff for the sake of owning it isn't necessarily what I'm trying to say. There are minimalists who have the opposite ideology of to own as little as possible, and there are benefits to that. The point is mindfulness of what you curate in your collection of things in this world. The second one is accessibility. Easy, cheap access to information is absolutely crucial. And the fact that you can rent entertainment for the price of like an afternoon lunch for an entire month and watch all these movies is incredible. There's apps like Libby where you can download ebooks and like audiobooks with a library card. It might not necessarily be a college degree, but you can go on YouTube and look up a tutorial for anything you could ever possibly want to do. Media literacy has also gone up. We're processing more information, more critical consensus of things. We're more aware culturally of all the stuff that's going on. So all these are good things. Information should be as accessible and as low of a cost as possible. And we don't need to own everything. But this access isn't necessarily given to us. It's sold, and the price we pay is control over exactly how we want this media to be commodified. Don't you think it would benefit streaming services to make it seem like there is only one convenient way to access all this stuff? It almost seems like there's a manufactured obsolescence happening with this stuff. Let's take, for example, the TV series The Crown.
The Netflix series The Crown. Yeah. Aside from putting it in a kiln, why would you get that on DVD?
Well, I wouldn't, but you
Maybe my parents.
I mean, it is available.
This show is available at any time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, given you have a Netflix subscription. Yeah, you could buy the box set and watch it anytime, forever, without a Wi-Fi connection, without ever getting ads. Hey, that's old school. Why would you want to do something so impractical? It's just so much easier to stream. It's right there all the time with thousands and thousands of choices on other streaming platforms. Every episode of every Star Trek show, the 1,000 episodes of One Piece, every single Marvel movie in the canon, and the dozens of multi-season shows that Disney really, really wants you to keep watching. The access to the popular movies and the television is so ubiquitous that it's not even novel anymore. It's just taken for granted.
This is the best show on television, apart from mine, of course.
I think we all know that the streaming sites are starting to stink. They got that cable TV funk to them. I just feel like this stuff goes so much deeper than streaming services. I think it applies to like everything, to like art. Like I think we're looking at the moving picture differently thanks to all of these services. Think about how you watch YouTube. YouTube wants to keep all of these videos in large quantities and disposable. There aren't really social media videos that are like a final artifact that you like keep. You wouldn't download a YouTube video or watch it on a physical copy of like best videos of 2024, and you're not meant to. It's not even about one video, it's a feed, it's a stream of content. In fact, the algorithm, which is a terrifying word to use for creativity, is built around a large quantity of consistent videos than occasional high quality art. No matter how much work goes into it, it doesn't seem to matter as much as the next one. An informational Kurzgesagt video that takes hundreds of hours and a team of researchers has the same weight on YouTube as Dracula Flow.
I'm on them Nashville nibblers.
The sources of all these videos from like Instagram and YouTube and TikTok are so ubiquitous and homogenized and disposable that it's all kind of blending together into one stream of content, one way of consuming the content, and one way that your content is getting sold. This homogenized service is how Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, they all run. And it's in their best interest to feed into creators this idea that you have to be participating, you have to continuously make more and more and more. It's very strange, and it's a little dystopian. And I don't know if it's how art should be, even though this is kind of the way things are right now. I don't know the alternative. Okay, so as I'm making this video, I discovered that there's a lot of videos that are addressing the exact same thing, which is fantastic. Just a few weeks ago, there was a huge talk by Jack Kant, the Patreon guy, who is literally talking about the same problem, about the encouragement of like the shallowness of content creation and like how the stream like separates the follower from the creator. There's companies like Patreon that are like actively working with this problem and trying to find a solution. It's not the solution. Obviously, the world's more complicated than here's the problem, here's the solution. But it's cool to know that there are companies that are actively working on this problem.
There is so much tension to make for the algorithm. Everywhere we look as creators today, the gravity is just pushing us. It's just pushing us toward making for other reasons. We open up our dashboards and we see these metrics on what success is. Don't let somebody else tell you what you want. I want to say something that matters to somebody and have it be true and feel true and have someone else see that and have that person think, yes, I said a thing that resonated with them and made them feel a little bit less alone.
So I'm digressing. If you want to learn more about this, I can't recommend enough The Death of the Follower, the talk by Jack Kant. I'll link it below. It's really cool. He can explain it so much better than I can. The point is, when we're watching the daily stream, when we doom scroll, it may feel very dystopian and shallow and fake, and there's a lot of people that are just trying to get the numbers to go up. But it's important to remember that that person is real, and you watching it is real. Most people don't want 1 million followers, 5 million followers, and like just want the clout of, you know, being internet famous and doing all this stuff, because then it's just work, honestly. What they really want is just a way to support themselves while they're making something that they think is funny, that they think is true, and they want to connect with the people that are watching it. And that is a real thing. We can actually build connections with people with this technology. We can actually learn with this technology. We can actually create with this technology. Somehow this relates to books. We went on a whole fucking... I'm sorry. Finn's bookshelf was filled with books that deep down we knew we would never read. So we had to clean house. Since then, we took some of those reusable grocery bags and sorted the books into 2 piles. The ones we wanted on the shelf and the ones that we can neatly pack in the basement. Temporarily, of course. What the fuck? What? Okay, as I was packing this stuff up, I just want everyone in the audience to know that we have not 1, but 2 copies of a very heavy book, The Mists of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley. The same book, the same book, the same... Why? 2 of the same book that we are probably not going to read. But they're so difficult to get rid of because we know deep down how important they are. We only have 1 glimpse into everything that's ever written. We only have 1 life to read all that we have time for. So if we don't like something, the best we can hope for is to make it public, make it accessible, so the next person can pick it up and maybe read it and maybe get some truth out of it. Where did these come from? What are these?
So a lot of the books that we've had for many years came from your great-grandparents. Your grandmother's grandfather worked for a paper company, and he traveled all over the world, like around 1910. So he had a lot of books that he collected. And that was one thing, when you had an educated family, you had a lot of books because you had the resources to have them. And that's where all your information came from too. So the series of Tolstoy books he brought back from England, but some of the interesting things where it's like the events of the Great War, those were written between World War I and World War II, and there was only the Great Wars. The small ones are your great-grandfather Clark's books that he used in college. So several of them he took Shakespeare, poems, and he also was in the theology school because he was a minister. The smaller books were, he would carry them to class. That's kind of neat to think of your great-grandfather being younger than you and walking around campus carrying those books.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. They would write in them, too.
Oh, wow.
They made notes in them.
What is that?
Characteristics of W's poetry.
Need to get number...
I
Wait.
think it's tried.
Multiple
to get
languages?
Multiple
Languages?
language.
Of...
Something. We
Rebelled against...
untaming the treatment of character. It was very difficult to understand his writing. Got a lot messier.
It's Andy. I never have to worry about people reading my journals just because I can barely read my own handwriting.
You can't read your own handwriting. Yeah, his handwriting got worse and worse. So he typed everything. Like I'd get letters from him and they'd be typed on a
Click, 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 click. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because there are other books that we didn't keep that I wish we did. Grandpa was, he was a minister. So, there was a time when he was writing a sermon every Sunday and he kept them. And I don't know what happened to them.
Damn.
And for a long time it's weird because he also, in college, he wrote me a letter every month. And I really cherished the letters. I don't know what I did with them.
Oh, no.
I don't know. Some paper you save and some you get rid of. And
It's hard to recognize in the moment what's important and what's not important. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe that's one of the things with the books. Maybe that's why we have held on to the books for that long, because they look important. They're memories too. Like I look and I can see his writing and I remember that. Stuff fades over time too. So, but it's still neat to have them.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Thank you.
There's something.
Get on your feet, these sights to see. Rolling hills or city streets, ocean to ocean and all in between. It's out there just waiting.